One of my favourite Argentinian films was 2009's The Secret in Their Eyes, in which a retired cop, the ever-popular Ricardo Darín, looks back on an unsolved murder. The reasons it was unsolved were entirely political. The suspect had friends in the military dictatorship that terrorised the country back in the early 1980s.
Estando yo en mi casa, fui secuestrada. Me tuvieron encerrada meses.
La responsabilidad jerárquica es de las juntas. ¿Cómo demostramos que ellos sabían?
That dictatorship, ruling for over 7 years, has dominated many of Argentina's films ever since. And they culminate, in many ways, in the recent Oscar-nominated Argentina 1985, currently showing on Amazon Prime. It's the story of what happened after the dictatorship. The junta was toppled in 1983.
Vas a ser el fiscal del juicio más importante de la historia argentina.
The new president wanted the top 9 military officers to be prosecuted for the regime's crimes, and there was an unedifying scramble among the judiciary not to be involved. In the film, when a cynical lawyer suggests 90% of the Justice Department want nothing to do with such a trial, prosecutor Julio Stracero denies this. It's 99%, he says.
Lo único que te digo es que hay poco tiempo y solo no vas a poder.
¿En cuántos juicios estuviste?
Ninguno.
El 90% de los funcionarios de la justicia no quieren saber nada con este juicio. 99.
Prosecutor Stracero is our hero, of course, once again played by Ricardo Darín. And Stracero only takes on the case because, as a civil servant, he has no choice. Now he has to prepare charges against the high-ranking accused with very little support.
Esta es nuestra oportunidad.
Cuídate, Julio.
Cuídate.
Vas a meter preso a Videla.
A todos los responsables.
Worse, most of the top lawyers in the country have been hired by the defendants, led by ex-President Videla and the notorious General Galtieri. Stracero is assisted only by the inexperienced Luis Ocampo. This is, in fact, his first case, and the clock is ticking.
La historia no le hicieron tipo como yo. Entonces, ¿qué hacemos?
Hay que armar un equipo cuanto antes.
Tenemos 5 meses para presentar prueba irrefutable contra 9 comandantes.
Adding pressure is how important this case is to the rule of law in the newly democratic state of Argentina. Almost the entire country is well aware of the multitude of crimes carried out by the brutal former government. The number of people murdered, the shocking euphemism was disappeared, was in the thousands. But getting witnesses to talk was another matter.
A mí me torturaron, a mí me secuestraron.
Vamos a darles a los militares lo que ellos no les dieron a sus víctimas. Un juicio justo.
What was needed was people power, and Stracero and Ocampo had very few people to call on. Most Argentinians didn't want to draw attention to what they might have done or not done during the dictatorship. So finding people untainted by those years was all but impossible, unless you found people too young to have been employed back then.
Yo pienso que hay que buscar por otro lado, entonces.
¿Dónde? Chicos.
Sí. ¿Y si los funcionarios de carrera no quieren?
Entonces traemos a los que no tienen carrera.
And that's what happened. Stracero and Ocampo put out a call for legal interns, recent graduates, young idealists, the people who were initially dismissed as Stracero's kids, but who later wore it as a badge of honor.
Necesitamos demostrar que fue un plan sistemático. Que fue a lo largo de todo el país y durante los gobiernos de los 9 comandantes.
The reason Argentina 1985 deserved its Oscar and Bafta nominations and its Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film was it didn't rest on the laurels of the real-life Stracero and his team. Everyone was allowed a voice, the tortured victims, the angry accused, and particularly Stracero himself, terrified of the threats to his family.
¿De qué tenés miedo, Julio?
De todo. De que todo esto es una trampa. De que les pase algo a ustedes. Se metieron en nuestra casa y tengo audiencia en 1 hora.
the deplorable junta was still defended by a large, shamelessly fascist minority. It also, though this point isn't stressed in the movie, had massive support from the United States for years. And up against all these forces was one man. Julio Stracero had to bring home 9 capital crime verdicts, despite being, as he said, not the sort of person who makes history.
Lo único que quiero saber, señor presidente, es si mi hija está viva o muerta.
Lentamente, como para que no nos diéramos cuenta, una máquina de horror fue desatando su iniquidad sobre los desprevenidos y los inocentes.
Like Stracero, Argentina 1985 is careful rather than flashy, but maybe that's why it packs the punch it does. You can see it on Amazon Prime, and I recommend it, if only to keep up with all those other Argentinian movies set in the same period.
Acá se trata de lo que el país necesita, respeto y justicia.
Esta es nuestra oportunidad. Quizás sea la última.